This episode is sponsored by the digital picture frame that will literally change your entire perception of what a digital picture frame can be. Aura Frames. It's December, dear listeners, that big holiday where the bearded gentleman descends from your rooftop to bring joy and cheer via beautifully wrapped presents is mere weeks away. And when you give an Aura frame as a gift, you can personalize and preload it with a thoughtful message and photos using the Aura app, making it an ideal present for long-distance loved ones who you don't get to see very often. It's got unlimited storage, so I can share my collection of daily photos I took in 2024 to capture the evolution of my rock-hard abdominal muscles. Save on the perfect gift by visiting auraframes.com to get $35 off Aura's best-selling Carver matte frames by using promo code BALD at checkout. That's AURA frames.com, promo code BALD. This deal is exclusive to listeners, so get yours now in time for the holidays. Terms and conditions apply.
You guys, we're in the studio today. Oh my gosh. Obviously, we have Bruce Vilanch here. Clap, clap, clap.
Oh, thank you.
That's one pair of hands.
Sorry, I'm better busy looking at the microphone.
That's one person clapping, but you know, that's 100% of the people in the room.
But a ferocious clapper.
A ferocious clap.
Big time.
Today we have with us legendary comedy writer, actor, singer. He's won Emmys for writing for the Academy Awards and was a judge on Drag Race. It is Bruce Vilanch.
Hello. Thank you. Hello, my camera.
I got it. This is you. This is me.
That's me. I know. This is a fabulous profile shot of me, which is amazing. Although I do kind of look like Alfred Hitchcock.
What do you what do you think about this?
Profile.
You know, everybody hates our new set. We just painted it blue. What do you think?
It's not gay enough.
You think?
No, and it's very self-referential. So I mean, as I suppose it should be, but why not? And these flowers are these are, oh well, they're plastic, but
they're plastic. They are.
They're not. You know, it's a gay touch, sort of.
Yeah,
but it's just lovely. What's not to love? And you got color-coded pink and purple microphones.
Isn't that nice?
Red and they all look like horses when they're happy. Studs, at least.
Well, you're kind of like, when we have Katya, she's worn wigs like your hair in her career, so it kind of feels like we have her today.
She's worn a Bruce wig.
Yes. Do people go as you for Halloween?
Do I what?
Do people go as you for Halloween?
Oh yeah, they do actually. Yes, I mean I wasn't when I was living in West Hollywood above Tender Queens, a restaurant there, and I would on Halloween would come and I'd be on my balcony and I would watch the Bruces go by. There was a period where there was it was an easy thing for a fat guy to do. Just put on a blonde wig and a T-shirt that said something obscene, and it was me.
The eyewear also.
The eyewear, the red glasses, yes.
Yeah.
And it's easy to find, that's true. And I always wore glasses, but when I was on Hollywood Squares, I had different glasses every night. But then the prescription changed. And I would have to take a second mortgage to get them all. So it happened that week on the show. We had Sally Jesse Raphael.
We're so psychic.
Who was, for those of you who are too young to remember, a talk show host who did a kind of Oprah sort of show in the daytime. And she was blonde with red glasses. And we had the same lawyer, actually. So I said, I have to get all these glasses changed. She said, she said, well, you can have red ones if you want. I said, no, but that's your brand. And she said, I'm retiring. I said, oh, may I? So I took the red glasses and that's all I wear now.
I was listening to you talk and I was like, it's Sally Jesse. It really is. And so it's like crazy that you brought that up because I was like, it is kind of Sally Jesse.
It is. If Sally Jesse, if she shaved, but
it's also a little bit, Ghostbusters, what do you want? Remember her in Ghostbusters? She has like fun glasses.
No, actually. And
remember their receptionist in Ghostbusters?
Yeah. I want to say Carol Kane, but it wasn't Carol Kane. It was someone like that.
She's so gorgeous.
Like Annie Potts or somebody like that.
Yeah, like a character actress. Very pretty though.
A cute character actress, yes.
Why do you think that character actress means unattractive?
Generally.
I hate that.
Well, it's old school and it's not leading lady.
Right.
It's a supporting part and she's not the romantic interest in the picture.
Right.
So she's the character actress. She becomes, and it's bled down from the studio system. It's one of those things that remains.
I do think it can be probably kind of difficult for women to do comedy when they're excessively gorgeous. Don't you feel like entertainment loves you have to be like either like the hot slut and everything?
Yeah. It's very difficult, I think, to be gorgeous and funny. I mean, that's why Lucille Ball was such a huge star, because she was spectacular. I mean, she was a showgirl, but yet she did all this physical stuff, and she was funny. I mean, she had intense, amazing timing, and you find people who have that. Julia Roberts is very funny, and Renee Zellweger and Reese Witherspoon. I mean, they've got comic chops, so they can carry that stuff, the romantic stuff as well. Rom-coms, if they ever come back.
Rom-coms. I just watched Pretty Woman for the very first time.
Really?
I'd never seen it. I watched it last week. My God, did I cry.
Yeah.
They really get you at the end there.
Well, yeah, it's Gary Marshall. He knew what he was up to.
When he shows up in the limo, like her story about the white horse, I was watching it like, oh my God.
And because it's so, even then it was kind of like, really? Does this really happen? It was a fairy tale. It was, it was kind of fun. I mean, I want to find a rich guy who's going to let me loose on Rodeo Drive.
Well, she did kind of have like a bob like yours in the beginning.
Oh, really? I didn't notice.
Remember when she's like in her prostitute outfit and she's in like that little...
She did have a bob. Is this a bob? I didn't even know. It's just it's a blob is what I think. But
well, I watched your documentary in the preparation for this. By the way, to do homework about Bruce Vilanch is only opening like Pandora's box of how much there is to know. I felt like I was preparing for that LSAT. I was like, every time I found somebody that you knew, it was attached to another project that I knew, attached to another thing I've seen. You really, when people have you on things, your bio is like a scroll that hits the floor. And
I've been around. And when you do award shows, you meet a lot of people. Yeah. But I had an agent once who said, I went on your IMDb, you can lose the last few pages. You can just, because it makes you seem much older than you are. I said, I'm exactly as old as I am, and I have nothing to hide. And I mean, I've written a book about that, so.
Oh yeah, you have a new book. Tell us what
I have
the
a book
is.
because I would do podcasts like this with people your age and younger, and they would ask me about these pieces of crap that I wrote in the 70s.
Oh no, I'm going to ask about some of those pieces of crap.
I'm wearing one right now, the Paul Lynde Halloween special, because I refuse to let go of Halloween. I don't care how early Mariah Carey makes us love Christmas. I am hanging on to Halloween. This was one of them, Star Wars Holiday Special, the Brady Bunch Variety Hour. I mean, and they kept... And they saw them all on YouTube. And their question to them was, how did this happen?
Yeah.
Who said yes to this? And so I thought there's a book here. So I've written a book about how I wrote the worst TV shows of all time and lived. And it's called It Seemed Like a Bad Idea at the Time.
Oh.
And I've extended it to movies like Can't Stop the Music, which I wrote the Village People movie I wrote the first draft of, and Broadway and other places where I've had disasters.
Yeah.
So
you wrote a song for the Village People.
Yes, I did. I did an album for the Village People, which was actually banned by the BBC.
Why?
Because we had a song called Sex Over the Phone that became a big hit in England. And the BBC said it was not to their standard.
Don't you feel like that's almost like a safe sex PSA? Nobody can get an STI on the phone.
I think exactly. It predated all of that. This is in the 80s.
Right.
So, well, it was actually in the middle of all of that, but so it was a sex-positive message now that I think about it. But yeah, they banned it, and as a result, we made a lot of money on it. So, I always recommend getting banned because that moths to the flame.
I remember hearing that Lady Bunny would sometimes pay like a church lady, someone to dress up like a church lady and pick at her show.
That's funny. I didn't know that.
You get good attention.
I'd never heard that, but. Yeah, I mean, people who, it's a traditional thing to do. There's a word for it now. It's like, I don't know, not, I can't think of the word, but it's what people often do, just, fake. It's just fake news. It's
right.
They plant stuff to draw attention to whatever the thing they want to have attention drawn to. And then the fake stuff kind of goes away. And
yeah. When did you start? I mean, you kind of also know all the drag queens.
I do. Well, I started in Chicago when I was at the Chicago Tribune writing for the old school legendary drag queens who came through town. Charles Pierce, Lynn Carter, Jim Bailey, Craig Russell. I wrote for all four of them at once at the same time, which was strange because if one didn't like the Mae West joke, I would give it to the other one, and who did the Mae West joke.
That's just economical.
Exactly. I knew it worked. I didn't. It was all personal taste, and then it just kind of extended. Although this whole new drag phenomenon came much later than that. I mean, there were certain people who broke through, like Jim Bailey was a Vegas headliner,
right?
But mostly it was drag queens and drag bars, and it slowly crept in. RuPaul came along, and it transformed the whole thing.
My God, yeah,
I wrote for him, her, them,
they, that, she. I think she
they,
says
them.
you can call me he or she or Kathy Lee as long as you call me. I mean, but I think Ru's approach to like whatever you call her in drag is very inclusive. I don't think you can really offend RuPaul. I don't think you can offend RuPaul.
No, well, the brand is love, and if you're not going to love yourself, who else are you going to love? So, I mean, it's all framed in that. And from the very beginning, from the moment that he was noticed, in the first book, he would talk about the ritual of getting into this character.
Yeah.
And it is just all about love. So it comes from a different place. Drag was traditionally satirical.
Yeah. Can I ask? I mean, I didn't find this in my research, but when did you meet RuPaul? Like, do you remember when that was?
He was doing his VH1 show.
Oh, the RuPaul show.
The RuPaul show. And I met him, and he came up to me and he said, Bruce Vilanch, you're in mahogany.
Yeah.
32 minutes in.
Yeah.
So I raced home and put the VHS in the tape, and 32 minutes in, and there I am. I thought, not for nothing is this guy RuPaul.
Yeah.
This guy's going to go places.
Yeah.
This is a precision instrument.
Well, he's obsessed with Diana Ross, as we all are.
Well, yeah, of course.
You work with Diana so much, too.
Well, I think, a lot of black gay guys were obsessed with Dionne Warwick and Diana Ross and Diane Carroll because they were glamorous, old school glamour.
Mm-hmm.
And there wasn't much of that, for black guys to emulate. And so they latched on that because that's what they wanted to be when they got into their drag personas. They wanted to be glamorous people.
Right.
And they are.
This episode is sponsored by the digital picture frame that will literally change your entire perception of what a digital picture frame can be. Aura Frames. It's December, dear listeners, that big holiday where the bearded gentleman descends from your rooftop to bring joy and cheer via beautifully wrapped presents is mere weeks away. In fact, we're now entering that period of time when soulless gift cards become the go-to option for those hard to shop for family members or friends. But what if there was a better option? What if there was a gift that quite literally keeps giving the whole year through? There is, and I'm about to tell you about it. Save your wrapping paper and give the gift of memories this year. Aura Frames was named #1 by Wirecutter, and for good reason. They make it incredibly easy to share unlimited photos and videos directly from your phone to the frame. And when you give an Aura frame as a gift, you can personalize and preload it with a thoughtful message and photos using the Aura app, making it an ideal present for long-distance loved ones who you don't get to see very often. It's got unlimited storage, so I can share my collection of daily photos I took in 2024 to capture the evolution of my rock-hard abdominal muscles. Aside from the month of April when I ate nothing but cake, the 365 photos are a mesmerizing pictorial journey, one that even my elderly Aunt Ida needs to experience. One of the coolest things about the frame is the meticulously calibrated, high-resolution screen. If you don't look really closely, you'd have no idea it was even a screen. I'm amazed at how much better it looks than a traditional picture frame. If you have a ton of photos just sitting on your phone, why not share them and spread some cheer this holiday season with a gift from Aura Frames? Save on the perfect gift by visiting auraframes.com to get $35 off Aura's best-selling Carver matte frames by using promo code BALD at checkout. That's AURA frames.com, promo code BALD. This deal is exclusive to listeners, so get yours now in time for the holidays. Terms and conditions apply. This episode is brought to you by BetterHelp. Winter is finally upon us, dear listeners. The gray skies, the shorter days, the frigid temperatures that wreak havoc in nudist colonies. The changing of the seasons is always disruptive, but the arrival of winter seems to always be the harshest transition. Gone are the bright, fiery colors of autumn, and in their place come the monochromatic grays that seem to be the antithesis to vibrance and positivity. As we all fight the doldrums of winter, there is one weapon everyone must have in their arsenal: coziness. How do you stay cozy during the winter months? For me, I wrap myself in a novelty burrito blanket, pop in my Contact Blu-ray, and sip on a mug of hot, spiced apple cider while I watch Carl Sagan's novel about the search for extraterrestrial existence come to life before my very eyes. For other people, they bring themselves comfort, regardless of season, with therapy. Therapy can be a wonderful tool for dealing with the changing of seasons, finding comfort when it seems to constantly be evading you, and ultimately coming to terms with the upheavals in life, no matter how big or small, that can happen at any time. I love BetterHelp because you can schedule sessions whenever and wherever it's most convenient, even if you're a world-famous drag queen traveling the globe to exotic locations from Marrakesh to Milan. It's designed to work with your crazy life, no matter how busy you are. BetterHelp never interferes with my jet-setting life, which is great because I don't have time to find a doctor's office when I'm clubbing on the Amalfi Coast. With BetterHelp, I can do an audio or video appointment right from my Airbnb as I listen to the waves of the Gulf of Salerno lapping at the shore outside my window. Listen, people, if you're thinking of starting therapy, give BetterHelp a try. It's entirely online, designed to be convenient, flexible, and suited to your schedule. Just fill out a brief questionnaire to get matched with a licensed therapist and switch therapists anytime for no additional charge. Find comfort this December with BetterHelp. Visit betterhelp.com/bald today to get 10% off your first month. That's BetterHelp, HELP.com/bald.
And that's also like with the Vanessa Williams of the world, who I think you also know too, right?
I know Vanessa. Yeah, I met Vanessa when she was Miss America.
Oh my gosh. You know, I did a couple seasons of a show with her, and so I knew that she knew you, and I texted her about it, but I think she's in the UK right now, so the time zone.
She's doing Devil Wears Prada, the musical.
But I know that you knew her, and one time she told me her whole story. We were at dinner, and I was fortunate enough for her to tell me, basically, I was with who was I with? I forget who I was with, but someone had the audacity to ask, like, how did that all happen? And I was like, oh my God, I get to hear firsthand, like, how that all happened. And it's wild what happened to her.
Oh, yeah.
So unfair, so crazy.
I know, nuts. It was nuts. But, you know, the unfortunate thing is so much is branding. Miss America is a brand.
Right.
And she was the first Black Miss America, and it was a big deal. And then, of course, art studies surfaced, as they do for many gorgeous girls who need to put bread on the table,
right?
Or not bread, because I won't eat bread. That's too fattening. But other things on the table.
The suggestion of bread.
The suggestion, mock bread. So that it was a gigantic scandal because the brand was so lily white and wholesome. And here she comes along, and we discover that she has a sordid past.
Right.
So back then, that was quite a big deal. Of course, now it's Miss America is kind of like. It's been duplicated by so many other pageants, and also the whole idea of Miss America is I'm gorgeous in a bathing suit, but I really want to be a nuclear scientist,
right?
And so I need a scholarship. I mean, it's kind of like
I think it was hard for Vanessa because she was a serious like musical theater actress, like dancer, singer, and she wasn't a pageant girl. So then after the Miss America thing, when she would go into auditions, she said it was difficult for her to get taken seriously because these casting agents immediately placed her attached to this scandal.
Sure,
so they're like,
course.
we can't, great, beautiful singing. We loved your monologue. We don't know if we can put you in this.
Yeah.
And that was probably heartbreaking for her because I don't think she cared about.
If it's, when this was happening to her, television was still a sponsored medium. It's
Right.
not like there are streamers today. I mean, and mostly they were concerned about Kraft cheese not wanting to be associated with her and therefore not doing the show. So they would get rid of the problem because they didn't want to get rid of the money. And that also morphed as more different channels began showing up that were not supported by advertising.
Yeah.
But on a movie on the studio level, then it becomes an ethical decision. It's like, how hurt do we think we're going to be by this? And it's because they don't have sponsors to concern themselves, but they have stockholders, but that's another story.
But also for Vanessa, like everyone who was remotely racist who followed pageants was waiting for her to make any mistake.
Well, that's true. Absolutely
so that's
true.
also she accidentally ended up being responsible for like the perception of,
it's like Wanda Sykes hosted the White House Correspondents' Dinner the first year that Obama was president, and she says it's so exciting to have a black president. She said, but we're all sitting here waiting to see what the verdict will be. If it will be, we had a black president, wasn't he wonderful? Who was that half black guy who fucked everything up?
Right. I know. It's wild.
And that's Wanda, but
Well, that's how you felt
because
watching.
There's so much on her shoulders because, it's the Lena Horne story.
Right.
It's you're the one.
Yeah.
So you have to be perfect.
You have to be perfect.
Yeah.
That was like you watching Sally Jesse. You were like, this bitch in the red glasses better not ruin this
That's
for me.
right. Get contacts.
Your IMDb and your Wikipedia, I mean, you really have just done every single thing with everything. But I have to tell you, I went on your Twitter. Have you been on your Twitter for a while?
Have I? I have a Twitter, a twat. I have a twat account, but I never post. I read other things. So there are a lot of good naked people on there, so that's fun.
I'm going to tell you that your first post was in July 2011, and your last post was in November 2011.
I think so. Yeah,
you lasted about 5 months on Twitter.
I did. I probably didn't get laid. That's the problem. I was only on there to get laid.
And like your first tweet, I believe, was my Hyundai Elantra has a blind spot. And I was like, I guess he didn't get the automotive help he wanted, and he left.
That was me, or that could have been fake me. There are a lot of fake me's out there.
Oh my God. Yeah, people could really like Andy Warhol you.
Yeah,
they could go to a red carpet event and be like, hello, it's me.
Yeah, exactly.
Here's the hair, here's the glasses.
A lot. That's one reason why I don't do it. But also, it's too soul draining.
Yeah.
I'm on Facebook, which I call sit on my Facebook, because I also am looking to get laid there, because I can't go on Grindr.
Why?
Because they don't want to have sex with me. I mean, the ones who do, I'm not interested in, and they want to meet me or something else, but they're not on. I wouldn't be on Grindr for that.
Right.
So I find it doesn't work for me to be real.
Or you get reported as a catfish.
It needs to kind of age out, and then you get into people who are like too kinky for me. I'm very vanilla.
In Los Angeles, people are like, I'm not meeting up unless like the bone collector level, like violence and like kink that has to occur for someone to get in their car and come over. Whatever happened to just let's just kiss and touch it and go home.
Right, yeah.
But now it's like, oh, well, I'm obviously going to have to urinate on you, and then I'm going to punch you in the face.
There's one of my favorite old jokes. This is from George Slaughter, who created Laugh-In, a favorite, who I worked with on a million different things.
Oh,
it's
wow.
Hysterically funny. He said, it's a guy picks up a girl at the bar, and they go home, and she says, do you want to get kinky? And he says, yeah. And she says, hang on, I'll change. And she goes upstairs, and she comes down about 5 minutes later, and he's on his way out the door. She's in her full dominatrix outfit. And she says, where are you going? I thought you wanted to be kinky. He said, yeah, I did. I shit in your hat and fucked your cat. I'm out of here.
Let's take a break.
This episode is brought to you by Squarespace. If you're like me, you find yourself this holiday season in desperate need of a website dedicated to your mission of bringing Sweden's majestic Yule goat to America's holiday celebration. Now, I know what you're thinking. Katya, what in the ever-lucking heck is a Yule goat? I'd be more than happy to tell you right now. It's a Scandinavian spirit who appears at the beginning of the holiday season to ensure that traditions are properly carried out. And if you'd like to know more, you'll have to visit my website dedicated to introducing the Yule Goat to America, www.yulegoatcrazyfortheyulegoat.org. So now that you know what my passion is, I have a question for you. What is your passion? And don't you think that the entire world needs to learn about it from your very own website? Now is the time to sign up for an account at Squarespace. What is Squarespace? Well, if you've never been on the World Wide Web, I am pleased to inform you that Squarespace is the preeminent tool where you can utilize their fluid engine to easily make websites for pretty much anything, including how to make your very own Yule Goat centerpiece out of straw, ribbon, and a whole lot of super glue. And if you want to launch your website with an entire line of custom merch depicting the Yule Goat in all kinds of wacky clothes like a football uniform or Elizabeth Sparkle's fitness leggings from The Substance, Squarespace has your back. And even if you're not into holiday-themed goats, Squarespace has a massive portfolio of product features for whatever website you're looking to launch. And after you've launched, let's say you need help with marketing. Well, Squarespace has so many features to help drive sales and engage your audience with creative email campaigns that you'll definitely be the marshal of the 2025 Holiday Yule Goat Parade. And if you have some extra knowledge that you think you can turn into some extra cash, say some detailed information about the Yule Goat's relationship to Thor in Norse mythology, Squarespace can help you post online courses. That's right. Squarespace has all the tools you need to create and sell your very own course and even set it up to be a one-time payment and/or subscription. You can even make checkout seamless for your customers with simple but powerful payment tools. The site can accept credit cards, PayPal, and Apple Pay, and offer customers the option to buy now and pay later with Afterpay and ClearPay. So go ahead and check out squarespace.com for a free trial, and when you're ready to launch, go to squarespace.com/bald to save 10% off your first purchase of a website or domain. Again, that's squarespace.com/bald to save 10% off your first purchase of a website or a domain. This episode is sponsored by ZocDoc. As we ring in the holidays in the coming weeks, we all engage in that worldwide tradition of getting on a plane, train, or automobile and making the annual trek back home to spend quality time with our family. Between the breaking of bread, the opening of presents, and mugs of spiked eggnog, there is one thing that is the unifying factor found in every holiday celebration, whether it be Christmas, Hanukkah, or Kwanzaa. And that, my friends, is pure, unadulterated chaos. Whether it's your uncle asking you what a brat summer is, your grandmother asking you when you're going to give up on the big city and move back home, or your weird neighbor standing outside your house caroling all by themselves and being super flat when singing Good King Wenceslas. And amidst all this familial holiday chaos where you just have to put up with it all, we can all take a moment and agree on one thing. There is one area of life where crapshoots and chaos are not allowed. And that, dear listeners, is healthcare. Finding the right doctor shouldn't be a total crapshoot. That's where ZocDoc comes in. ZocDoc is the amazing place where you can find and book doctors who specialize in the specific field of medicine you need, whether that be gastrointestinal distress from eating too much of Aunt Cecilia's fruitcake or back pain from sleeping in your childhood bed. You can even filter for doctors who take your specific insurance, who are located close to your home if you hate driving like me, or have specific office hours to match your schedule. And most importantly, you can find doctors who are highly rated by real-life verified patients. You can even see their real-time appointment openings, choose a time that works for you, and instantly book a visit with just a few clicks. ZocDoc appointments also happen super fast, sometimes within just 24 to 72 hours of booking. You can even score same-day appointments in many cases. The best part, though, ZocDoc is completely free to use. You can search and compare highly rated in-network doctors near you and instantly book appointments with them online. With ZocDoc, you've got more options than you know. I love ZocDoc because my bionic hip recently started interfering with my neighbor's Bluetooth speakers, and I definitely need to see someone about that. And when I do HP on ZocDoc, I want to see verified reviews by actual patients, and I want to see them quickly and easily. ZocDoc helps me find the best doctor in my area and book them fast. If I can find a great doctor, so can you. And all because of ZocDoc. So stop putting off those doctor's appointments and go to ZocDoc.com/bald to find and instantly book a top-rated doctor today. That's ZocDoc.com/bald. ZocDoc.com/bald.
Oh, I also, okay, and we're back. That was our break. That was a perfect segue for our sponsor.
Do we have sponsors? Am I not allowed to say those things?
No. It's perfectly allowed.
Because I would think. I mean, what are podcasts for?
Right. Our sponsors today are not aligned with the words but given by Bruce Vilanch LLC. Thank you.
Thank you. There you go.
Can I ask you to? You were a child model.
I was briefly for Lane Bryant, which was no longer among us, but it was like plus size fashions for the forgotten woman.
For children.
But they decided there were not enough fat women in the country, so they were looking for fat kids.
And what was it? It was called Chubby something?
It was Charming Chubs.
Charming Chubs.
It was
for cute little child models.
Yeah, stylish stouts. And then I became a husky. My career ended. Because husky, you're neither man nor boy. And nothing fits.
Not a girl, not yet a woman.
Anything that does fit is in seersucker. So, it's a fool's errand.
Yeah.
So
I know you get
didn't last, and I can't find the photos, and I think that's probably a good thing.
That could be merch. That could be amazing merch.
It could be. I may have to.
And if Lane Bryant is gone, they can't sue you.
They can't. They be dead.
I have to ask. I know you said people my age ask about it, but I watched all that Brady content on YouTube during COVID because I'm obsessed with the Brady Bunch. I was a Brady Bunch watcher.
Yeah.
By the when I was little, they had Brady Bunch on. In the summer, they'd have marathons. It's the only thing me and my brother could agree on. So we'd sit and watch like marathons of it. I've watched all the holiday movies. What was it like working with the goddamn Bradys?
What is it with them?
What was it like working with them?
Oh, what like working with them? Well, I did the Brady Bunch Variety Hour, which was after the Sherwood Schwartz empire. He created the Brady Bunch.
Yeah.
And it was after the series was off the air on ABC, but it was in reruns all over the place.
Right.
And as a result,
It's the one with the pool, right?
It's one with the pool.
Yeah, that show's
Fred
wild.
Silverman, who was running ABC at the time and believed in teams for variety shows. Donnie and Marie, he came up with. Sonny and Cher. That was Tony Hernando and Dawn. All of those things were his ideas. And he was looking for the Partridge Family because they were a singing act on their show. And it would make sense for them to do a variety show. But Shirley Jones and David Cassidy didn't want to do that. And Susan Day, they were all out of there already. So he said, oh, well, the Brady Bunch, because the Brady kids had an act, which they would do like the state fairs and stuff like that.
Is this the one with the fake Jan? Wasn't there a fake Jan?
This was, yes, we got fake Jan.
Eventually you got fake Jan, or you started with fake Jan?
No, Eve Plum wouldn't do it. Eve Plum had broken away and become a TV movie star in a movie called Dawn, Portrait of a Teenage Runaway.
Right, yes.
And so she was Brady free. So we auditioned for a Jan, a fake Jan.
Were you in the fake Jan auditions?
I was the fake Jan auditions, and it came down to two girls. Two girls. One was Jerry Reichel, who got the part, and the other was
my gosh, she was pretty.
A girl who became Kathy Hilton, mother of Paris.
Shut up.
And we joke about it whenever I run into her because they're very much.
She was the almost fake Jan.
She was the.
I think she turned out okay.
Fake Jan. She did very well. She thought every time she says, "I'm so glad I didn't get that part."
Yeah, I think she did.
Jerry is now riding the fake Jan gravy train. I mean, she's came out and said, "I am fake Jan," and of course, with the internet, she's become a little star, which is great. Because she's a lovely woman. So we had to concoct this variety series that had a storyline with the family and also had big production numbers. And Florence Henderson was a Broadway star and Vegas star and could do anything.
My God, her singing.
And the kids, some of them were better than others, but they could all kind of clomp around, sing and dance. Robert Reed was the only, the one who was like alien in alien turf. Well, and that's all in the book, by the way, because that's one of my favorite disasters.
Well, I've seen a bunch of the episodes. I watched them all on YouTube. They're available on YouTube. I don't know if it's okay to promote people to steal a show on YouTube, but I don't think
they were available when the Brady movie came out, which was a satire of the Brady Bunch.
Incredible.
Nickelodeon discovered which is owned by Paramount, discovered that they owned the Brady Bunch Variety Hour, and so they programmed it on Nickelodeon on Nick at Night. And I got a call one night from this guy, stoned out of his mind, saying, dude, I'm watching this thing on TV, and it's Robert Reed, the dad from the Brady Bunch, and he's doing Carmen Miranda, and your name is on it.
Yeah.
Dude, how did this happen? A precursor to my book, basically.
Well, I believe, isn't the first episode about how the dad isn't sure that he can do it?
Yes.
Because he's not a singer-dancer.
Exactly right. Yes, and also in there we had Farrah Fawcett and Lee Majors, who were a couple at the time, and Donnie and Marie showed up.
And the way it was shot too, it was like a proscenium with a huge swimming pool in front of it.
Well, it was produced by Sid and Marty Krofft, who had produced the Donnie and Marie show, and Donnie and Marie opened with an ice rink. And what they called the Ice Angels, but the Mormons didn't like that, so they became the Croftettes, I think. So, and that worked great. And so Sid thought, well, let's do it with water ballet on this one. So we had the Croft water ballerinas, and it was hysterical because
it was wild.
It was supposed to be the pool at their house at the beach. So there's this gigantic pool, and beyond it is the Pacific Ocean, which sort of like.
I'm going to say, as a viewer, I never got that.
No, but we were shrieking on the set, watching the whole thing and all that. And of course, it was always a bonus. The crew loved it because there was a tank, and the tank had portholes, so they could put the cameras in the portholes and shoot the underwater stuff on the ballet. So the crew loved to come to rehearsals to watch the Croftettes swimming,
right?
From underneath. All this stuff would be swimming by. And we used to have to peel some of the kids off of the
because they're glued to it like the TV.
Oh yeah, because it was like softcore porn. Watching all these women kicking and doing breaststrokes
but weren't there these moments for like, okay, there's the Brady's singing, and then there's the girls jumping in the water, and then the weird thing was they would talk to the camera like we're doing a show, but they would still pretend they were a family.
Yes, it was. The template for that was the Jack Benny show, which was Jack Benny was a comedian, and his show was about him and his life in Beverly Hills, and he puts on a show, and that's so part of the show was his show with an audience, and part of it was preparing for the show in Beverly Hills. So, and he would have a guest. He had Marilyn Monroe, and so he had Marilyn Monroe comes for tea or something with his wife,
Right.
and then they do the show where Marilyn's on the show. So that was the template for it, and it was the Brady Bunch do a television show. They have a variety show, and they open it with the swimming number at their home, and then they go in. But there was always a backstory about what they did on the show, around the show. There was a
it was
through
like
line.
show within a show. It would be like, what are we going to do? Like, we haven't prepared enough. Like, it was very like, we didn't know we were doing the show today.
Well,
And now
no,
it's just
kind of. I mean,
happening.
they knew because they would show up in the opening number in spangly Pete Menefee costumes.
The costumes are fucking great.
Yeah, they're great. They
Fucking beautiful.
they were-
I hate to jump around, but we have so much to cover.
Go for
I
it.
texted Kathy Griffin and I was like, I know you know Bruce. I was like, what should I talk to him about? And she said, well, you got to ask about the squares.
Well, she was on the Squares.
I knew she was on Squares with you. And is that where you maybe met her for the first time?
No, I think I'd met her before then, but I don't actually remember where I first met. I think I met her with Brooke Shields when she was doing the sitcom.
Oh,
Suddenly Susan. Yeah, I think I met her there.
Yeah.
I wasn't working on it, but I was there for something. I think Brooke was doing the American Comedy Awards or something like that.
You were
George
auditioning
Slaughter.
for the new Brooke.
I was auditioning.
Yeah.
And Kathy was there, and I met Kathy. I think that's where I actually met her. But
Do you got any fucking wild, like, Hollywood Square stories? Obviously, right?
it's bizarre because I was a head writer, and I always say I was a square. I was to the left of Whoopi, if that's possible.
Right.
But it was a very efficient organization, and the fun of it was the 9 people showing up and doing 5 shows on a Saturday and 5 shows on a Sunday. So we only worked 36 days a year because we would do a week in a day.
Oh my God.
Now we
'Cause
were
live
writing
to tape.
all the yeah. So we tried to keep it as close to the air date as possible, so it was topical.
Yeah.
But basically the people were on good behavior most of the time,
Right.
Because if you weren't, there were like 8 other people going, girl.
Yeah.
Girl. I mean, Roseanne was in a foul mood, and so she kind
I
of.
think she still is.
Well, she's one of her 43, people, and I've worked with her, and I keep saying, I would say to her, "Would you please ask number 16 to start talking to number 32 because we're not getting any work done."
Right.
But I mean, she's her own case study. I love her.
She's on a journey.
She's her own case study. She's now she's a crazy Trumper, and
Yeah.
I mean, I still love her, but
What other kind is there?
exactly. There you go. That's why I can still stand.
Can I ask like a logistic thing? So the way Hollywood Squares is like, I mean, we have maybe a lot of young viewers who maybe have never seen it. It's set up like a grid.
It's a tic-tac-toe board.
Yeah. And so you guys really couldn't, I mean, you couldn't see each other under a top.
No, we couldn't see each other once we were in our squares. But there were monitors that facing us so that we could see big, like teleprompter monitors, but so that we could see what was happening. We could see what the shot was,
Right. Oh, right.
and so we could see what other people were up to and all that as it went to that.
Must have been fun being in it.
And once there was cross talking, they would be going back and forth, and that was, of course, my favorite moment when I guess the YouTube thing that gets a lot of comment is "you fool," which was a woman was she needed 1 square to get the win, and she could not get the right answer, and it started with Gilbert Gottfried, who when she didn't agree with him said, "You fool," and it went on like that. Penn and Teller were on there, and it became it took this woman like about 6 times, and finally she won the thing. So
Thank God.
And it's a very funny clip on YouTube watching because everybody kind of begins to lose it because it's so insane. It's like things you never expected would happen.
Do you think Squares would ever come back?
It is coming back.
It is?
It's coming back in January on CBS with Drew Barrymore in the center square and Nate Burleson, who, if you don't know, if you watch CBS Mornings with Gayle King, he's the black guy. Tony DeCoppel's the white guy, and Nate Burleson's the black guy.
Are you going to go back?
I don't think so.
Be a guest
Not
at least.
So far, I'd love to, but no one's called.
This is an official casting call.
That's right. If you're watching, I'm happy to go back.
Sometimes I think it's gauche, but sometimes then when I'm on something, I'll just ask to be on something, and then sometimes it does work out.
Yeah. Well, this is going to be one of those primetime hours, probably after like 2 FBI shows on CBS, like 10 o'clock on a Wednesday. But so it'll only be once a week, like Alec Baldwin doing Match Game and Name That Tune with Jane Krasinski. So it's Jane Krasinski. I think I've made Krakowski. I just made a child of her and Emily Blunt.
Yep.
Jane Krasinski.
You have an enemy now.
That's right. Jane Krakowski. Sorry.
Can I ask, if I get to do it and you don't, I will wear like a Bruce wig and glasses in honorarium.
Well, okay.
Did you think you would win in a Bruce lookalike contest?
They
just had the Timothy Chalamet
contest. There's a famous story about Carol Channing going to an impersonator contest in San Francisco and losing.
And Dolly.
Oh, well, Dolly said that she had one and she lost too. Yeah, I kind of believe Dolly.
I believe Dolly. I don't think Dolly would ever lie. You have a new project coming out with Dolly.
I do. I wrote a musical with Dolly during COVID. It's called Here You Come Again. Sounds like a porno, but isn't. And it's about a 40-year-old. I think you tweeted that too. What? I think I saw that on your Twitter too. That's true. Yes, it's about a 40-year-old gay comic who's never happened, who's working as in the comedy club as a waiter in New York. COVID hits. The club closes down. He has to quarantine in the attic of his parents' home in Longview, Texas, where he has an intimate relationship with his imaginary friend, Dolly Parton.
Shut the fuck up.
She steps out of a poster and she basically, in 12 Easy Songs, fixes him up.
Is she in it?
No.
Somebody's going to play
an actress
her.
named Trisha Paoluccio, who has played her in various 9 to 5s and Patsy Cline shows.
She's franchising.
She's
and 3D printing dollies.
We wrote it together with her husband, Gabriel Barry, who's a director who directed it. And we got a grant and we did a Zoom.
Oh my
and
God.
I had to go to Dolly for the rights. And I didn't think she would go for it, but she loves it. She's our partner. And we did 5 regional productions. And now we're doing a 6-month tour of the UK. And we will be going into London after the first of the year.
You got to go see the girls. You got to go see the Dolly, the permanent Dolly understudy.
There are what?
I mean, this
is this
actress.
an act?
No, this actress who's playing her is kind of like the permanent new Dolly in this show.
Oh yeah.
Suspend disbelief, if you will.
Well, a lot of people have. Megan Hilty played her in 9 to 5.
I got to see her at the Hollywood Bowl once, and I just like.
Yeah, I saw her at the ball, and she was kind of. She got slightly political. It was Trump was running, I think, the first time, and she indicated her displeasure with the gist of the campaign. Yeah, but it was a very Dolly kind of thing because
she kind of has a way of touching on it without touching on it.
Yeah, exactly.
She's really good.
She goes for basic human issues because she's never really political. But
no,
but she's incredibly philanthropic. So.
Like instead of saying like I love the gays, she might say something like I think everyone deserves the right to love who they love. Like she has a way of saying it without ever being too.
Yeah, exactly. And she always been saying for years, if I were a man, I'd be a drag queen.
Yeah, I said the same thing, and look at me now.
See what happened?
One time when I saw her at the bowl, she had this amazing I don't know, it was kind of a joke, but the wind was blowing because the bowl's outside.
Yeah,
and this wig hair was blowing in her face, and she grabbed it and pulled it, and she went ow. Love. I think it's so funny to pull a wig hair out and say ow. Do you have any memories of doing Drag Race? You've done it like 3 times.
I was Santa Claus once.
That's right.
In an early one. And then I was a comedy mentor and a judge 4 or 5 times. And what's interesting to me about it is when I started, it was the early days of Drag Race. And they said, well, we want you to mentor the comedy. And people at that time were either gorgeous, lip-syncing replicas of
stars,
Bo Derek or something like that. Or they were people like Bianca who had worked clubs every night of their life and knew how to work a room. And I said, it's not fair. It's apples and oranges. I mean, you can't pit them in comedy. Okay, so now lap dissolved to the last time I was on where all of the little queens at home watching discover that to win the thing, they have to be everything.
You do.
They have to be funny. They have to be able to sing. They have to do the split. They have to make their own clothes. They have to live with each other in a motel. So they learned how to do that. So now they're all like mega queens.
It's crazy. They're all like lab created diamonds.
Exactly.
It's
but
really amazing.
they all have comedy chops. They've all figured out what they can do that will get them through that part of it. Even the ones who aren't funny obviously have got people coming in with, advising them when they create this persona that they're going to use on the show. So it's a whole different ballgame now.
Well, you've done drag before. You did Hairspray, didn't you?
I did Hairspray for 2 years.
God, in New York?
On Broadway, I did a year, the first national tour, and then on Broadway for a year.
Do you like touring like that?
I loved it. Well, I was touring in a first class Broadway show, and I was the star. So I was like, limos, suites,
diamonds, movie stars.
Exactly right, movie stars.
Did you like doing the drag?
I mean, it's not like something I would do.
Did you put your
every
hair
now
in
and again?
curls?
I would, but we had it down to a science. So I would come in like an hour before, and we would get it all done. Yeah, we'd had to do the wig hair every night, and I wore a 35-pound fat suit, which was basically on top of my own God-given fat suit, which was kind of like it was a corset and with huge jugs, and it weighed 35 pounds. And then in the last scene of the show is she's in this fabulous red beaded gown,
for the reveal,
which was another 40 pounds of beading. So I was carrying around 75 pounds and wearing what we used to call at Lane Bryant fat lady shoes, which were 2 3/4 inch heels.
Lady Bunny shoes?
Could be. I don't know. I never examined her feet.
Shoes?
That's not my fetish. But so your whole
I don't think Lady Bunny's feet are
your whole center
fetish.
of gravity changes,
right?
Which is why I have my foot in the brace now. I'm convinced. I never missed a show, but it's because your body is used to carrying your weight around a certain way, and when you change that, all your joints say, "Hold on, we're going to realign you now."
Oh yeah,
and you're without you knowing it, but suddenly it begins to happen. So those are the perils of drag. But I was doing that kind of drag. I was doing a plus size broad. So it wasn't, and also it wasn't a drag. It wasn't a drag performance in the sense of a woman in quotes. It was this woman.
Yeah, she's really.
John Waters invented it for Divine. So she was doing a certain kind of woman that you were doing, a working class woman from Baltimore,
right?
And and she wasn't commenting on anything. She was real and warm and in a real marriage and with a real love for her daughter and all of those things. She just was extreme in the way she expressed herself.
Right.
So it was, you were acting a role. You weren't just being a woman, being in drag for to be in drag. Of course, it's unfortunately part of of woke culture has been to downgrade all of that because they're drag queens, and then there are characters like Mrs. Doubtfire and Tootsie who are men who put on dresses
for a purpose,
and they learn something as a result.
Right.
And somehow that's become square and old-fashioned, that when a man is a woman, he suddenly realizes that there are other things in the world besides what he's always liked as a man.
Didn't you do a film kind of about this, like a body switch film?
I did I was in a documentary about.
Didn't you write a movie? It's like a gay guy, like a body switching. Didn't you write a movie about somebody who's like a Freaky Friday situation?
Did I? I don't think I wrote one. I don't remember. Was I in one?
Maybe I'm starting to add things to your career that didn't happen.
Be. Pile them on.
And I know I got to let you go, but I don't know if the kids at home know that you obviously have all these Emmys from writing all these awards programs.
Yeah. I wrote 25 Oscar shows. I am the EGOT of award shows.
You are.
Emmy, Grammy, Oscar, Tonys. I've written them all. I'm not the only one. There are several people who've written all 4 of them.
That must be
multiple times. But I hate using that word, multiple, because it's everywhere now. Multiple. But yeah,
that must have been
I have written, and I did do 25, and we won 2 Emmys for 2 of the Oscar shows, which confused my mother until her dying day.
You won an Emmy for the Oscars.
Yeah, right.
Wow.
Right. 2 Emmys for the.
What's the most chaotic
Oscars.
one, like leading up to, what's the most chaotic one of all the types of award shows? What's the one where you're like, oh girl, here we go?
That's a very good question. I think it's probably the Grammys because it's all musicians.
Right.
And also, of course, it's become a concert show. And it always was, but it had a host who was more hosty.
Right.
Billy Crystal, those kinds of hosts. Whoopi, it wasn't. Now they have, LL Cool J or Well, now they have Trevor Noah, so it's more of a host thing than they used to have. But
you did the Oscars.
But the real clusterfucks were like the People's Choice Awards, and the American Comedy Awards was hilarious because every category was funny and everybody had to be funny,
right?
And it was comics playing for an audience of comics, which you're in danger of people you say something and they go funny.
That's it, honestly that is it. If somebody's we're in comics, are in the audience, they go, "That's funny."
That's funny.
They won't clap. They'll go, "That's funny."
Funny. That's
funny.
Yeah.
I'm assuming the Tonys goes the smoothest because it's a bunch of people who are everyday live performers.
They are, and they are at the top of their game. They're doing these numbers 8 times a week.
That they do all the time.
Yeah. And so they're all stage performers. So when they get up on stage in front of an audience, they know what to do.
Right.
In the movies, you get movie stars who only work for a camera.
Right.
No one's ever done Johnny Depp at residency at Caesars.
Yeah.
You never saw Keanu Reeves live in Central Park.
Right.
I mean, these are movie stars, and so this is not their comfort zone.
Yeah.
So even the ones who came from theater originally kind of sometimes forgot they came from theater.
Right. I find it's interesting when like the Emmys, the people who play for camera, the people who play characters, they get up there and this maybe is the first time we see some of these people speak from the heart or not as a character.
Right.
You can tell they get nervous when they're not in character.
When they're not playing that character.
Right.
Yeah. Very much so. That's when they're accepting an award,
Well, Bruce, I can't thank you enough for coming down here and talking to me.
It was great. It was.
You let the girls know where to find you. Maybe not your Twitter. It's not exactly active.
You can. There's a site called WeGotBruce.com. And it's run by a fan, and he knows what I'm doing. I check up every morning to see what I'm up to.
Love that
because he knows more than I, and he publishes all the rumors and exactly all that kind of stuff. And it's not true about me and Zac Efron. I'm sorry, it's just not true. I couldn't with anybody that muscular who's Jewish. I couldn't.
It's not true.
I couldn't as a Jew. I couldn't do that unless he was Israeli. Maybe okay, never mind.
It's not true. They got married first, so it was in wedlock. So it's okay. Everybody say bye, Bruce.
Bye.